Next, we have Jack Begley, who is running for County Council at Large. Jack, go ahead and introduce yourself and things.
Okay, I'm Jack Begley. I live over in Tippecanoe Township, currently serving on the Tippecanoe Township Advisory Board. Been a resident of Carroll County now for just over 22 years. Originally moved out here because my wife wanted a school corporation for our daughter to go all the way through, and we settled on Delphi and bought a house out off of 18. And so been here, been active in the 4-H program as a leader for woodworking, and also on the exhibit board and extension boards, and currently also serve on the PCARET, which is the Purdue Council on Agricultural Research, Extension, and Teaching.
So, where did you graduate from school? Where do you come from?
I attended Tri-County, started off in Wolcott, was actually born in Connecticut. My family moved to Indiana back in '64, and I was raised in Wolcott, and graduated from Tri-County.
And do you have any advanced education?
Yeah, I've got basically 3 years in at Purdue. Did a co-op program and ended up having some classes conflict because I switched things around, and so I never finished my degree. Kept thinking I wanted to go back, but life just changed plans on me.
Mm-hmm. And do you have any memberships except for 4-H?
No, it's pretty much been 4-H.
Mm-hmm. And where do you work?
Actually, right now, I'm starting out on my own endeavor. I've been doing adaptive equipment for the handicap for the past, well, I've got about 20 years total, but the past 13 years I've been doing that, and looking at slowing down a little bit and trying to have time to do other things, and going to be doing some consulting and repair work in that on my own.
I see. So, what office are you running for?
Okay.
And why? That would be the bigger question, because we've already talked about the office.
Right, yeah, the county council at large seat. Why? Probably dates back to after doing the Leadership Carroll County program several years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And I got following things more, and just more and more felt like we needed some people to get involved, wanting to get involved, and I guess I want to say to think about the numbers, think about how things are actually being spent. I tend to be a numbers guy. I like to crunch numbers, research numbers, and have the facts before I rush to a decision, and listen to other people's opinions, and then make my own, and not come in with a preset agenda.
Mm-hmm. So you've attended a couple of council meetings, haven't you?
Oh, in the last 2 years, I think I probably have only missed maybe 4 council meetings, between regular meetings, the budget planning meetings. Then I've also attended a lot of the commissioners' meetings, because what goes on in those, the two have to play together, have to work together, have to cooperate. And it's a little bit hard to think about making decisions without seeing both sides of the fence. Mm-hmm. And know what's going on both sides of the fence.
Mm-hmm. So, so why are you running? I mean, you've got 3 incumbents who are running.
Right.
So why do you think you want to run?
I want to run because I kind of feel like some of the people in there right now are playing their agendas and not what necessarily is best for the county. And I think if I'm seeing the numbers correctly and everything I understand, that's probably already cost the county several thousand, close to $1 million on just the one project. And it's a project that I really think is going to be,
And that would be the jail project?
that'd be the jail project.
Let's just name it, you know?
Yeah, and I really think that it's going to come down with the way everything is going. I don't think the jail project is going to happen in the form it's at right now without a referendum, because I think it's going to crest over that $15 million threshold. And it's, you know, basically, if you listen to the numbers, basically every month things are delayed, that's $84,000. Costs are going up because of the way the economy has been and the projects being required in other counties. And it's, excuse me, it's really a situation where, you know, I've heard people talk, well, you know, would you raise property taxes? The whole financing.
That was gonna be my question, yeah.
The whole financing package that was presented to the council 2 years ago by then Umbaugh, and I can never remember.
Baker Tilly.
Baker Tilly. I always forget what they changed their name to.
Yeah, I can say it, but I can't spell it yet.
But anyway, the presentation that was done by them talked about that special law enforcement local income tax. But then also, they came right out and said that the bond issue, to get the best rate, was going to have at least some property tax tied to it.
Mm-hmm. So you would raise property
And
taxes?
I would hate to, but I would hate to, but I have, to do the jail project, there's going to have to be some portion of the property taxes affected by it.
Well, so, assuming that the property taxes aren't enough right now for what we have, as far as revenue and services, would you raise property taxes, or would you maybe pull back on some services?
Those are numbers I would have to crunch.
Well, just your gut.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My gut feeling is that the services that you could reduce to have the biggest effect are the ones you really don't want to reduce.
Mhm.
So I'm thinking there's going to have to be some part of property tax increase. Hopefully not much. I know we're below our maximum rate that we're at. And we've got a lot lower rate than most of the people around us. I know, I'm just going to give an example. My property taxes from '99 to today are over 50% lower than what they were.
Mm-hmm.
And
You understand that when you raise property taxes, that includes Delphi residents,
yes, I know.
and you understand what the Delphi
Right.
tax rate is.
Oh, I understand that.
Because you've
And I
listened to
also-
Larry DeBoer.
I also know that it's going to, if we raise taxes, if property taxes are increased,
Yeah,
the amount of total revenue isn't necessarily going to be that, because there's going to be that property tax cap that's
Yeah.
going to come in.
right.
But the income tax would not be enough to cover the jail bond.
Are you convinced that what is planned is what is needed?
I'm convinced that we need to do as much as we can afford. The 112 bed, which gives, you know, an 80% of that for what's considered capacity by the state.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to be something that shouldn't need to be increased for quite a while. But if the architects and everything that they're saying is correct, just cutting the number of beds, unless they drastically reduce the rest of the size of the
The
building.
footprint,
Um,
that's what you're talking about, right?
Yeah, well, yeah, because the way the plan currently is being worked on, it has, the potential for doubling the number of beds with an addition down the road.
Mm-hmm.
So the structure, services part of it for the kitchen, the, intake of inmates and that, all that center section is all designed to be able to handle 200 beds.
Some people say that because Carroll County's population hasn't grown in 100 and some years, why does the jail have to get so large?
Yeah.
Do you understand
Oh, yeah.
why that is? Do you agree with that? Do you wonder about it yourself? Because when you build a 112 bed facility, if only 80 beds they're still paying for it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Go ahead.
And a lot of it, I know a lot of the capacities come down with the level 6 felons being brought back into the local jails, county jails, instead of being in the state system, has played in a lot of it. Truthfully, this is my opinion, I think the drug issues that we've had and the number of out-of-county inmates that we tend to end up with.
When you say out-of-county inmates, does that mean prisoners who come into Carroll County or those who are stashed out of county?
No, in that I'm referring to people that are arrested, put in jail, that are not residents of Carroll County.
Okay.
They're from the outside area.
Mm-hmm.
Personally, my opinion in that is we are kind of in a central location between Indianapolis, Chicago, Fort Wayne, Kokomo, all that. And I think Carroll County gets used as a transfer point, meeting point, however you want to look at it.
For people who are doing drugs.
Yeah, for
Not
the
for law
drug,
enforcement, yeah.
right. And I know we've got some issues in the county with drugs, but I also think a lot of it is the things that are passing through the county
Mm-hmm.
and getting caught that way.
So what exactly is the job of the county council? What would your job description be?
Right, the county council is responsible for the funding. Handling the budget, setting the tax rates. The commissioners are the ones that are supposed to run the day-to-day things, day-to-day operation of the county. The council are supposed to handle the funds, the budget, to support the commissioners, serve the residents of the county with the funding, keeping the funding under control.
Okay. What do you think the state of the county is right now? Are we lousy with money? Not so much? What do you think you would see as first day on the job as a county council person? I mean, would it be an oh my
Well,
kind of thing, or?
no, right now,
Of course, you attend
From-
enough meetings
I'm
that,
attending
there's no
enough meetings
surprises,
that,
yeah.
The county is in a lot better shape than it's been in for quite a while. I know back in, 2007, 2008, when we had the major problems,
Mm-hmm,
I know I saw the effect on 4-H when that happened.
mm-hmm,
I think we've come back, but the tightening of the belts that had happened to get us back to where we are. I think in the last year and a half, 2 years, I've been seeing, I think that belt moved out a couple of notches or more. And I know.
And what do you think about that? Is that reasonable? Is it cause for concern on your part? What do you think about that?
Truthfully, I'm a little bit concerned because I think we're biting off a lot more than we can chew, and I do have an issue from the standpoint of the buildings and everything that the county is responsible for.
Mm-hmm.
I really think there needs to be a preventative maintenance program, is the best way I know to say it. You know, where you plan. They've done it with the ambulance service. They do it with the sheriff's cars. I think the highway department's doing a lot of it with trying to schedule purchases out, plan ahead. I know, what is it, every 3 years they replace an ambulance, take the oldest one out of service.
I think the sheriff's department gets 1 or 2 cars every year.
Yeah, the sheriff's department's doing a rotation on their cars, and that's getting planned into the budget.
Yes.
The other thing I saw this year, well, I've got a light shining.
I'm sorry.
Straight over your. No, it's not you. It's reflecting off my own vehicle.
Oh, okay. Just look at
Yeah,
the
well, it's
35-year-old.
Coming right over your shoulder there.
Then don't look at me.
One of the things I saw was this year they were doing a county budget, planning things, doing numbers, and then the number of additional appropriations that were done at the beginning of this year, basically putting money in to cover things that the council didn't deem should be in the budget. Either they couldn't afford it to stay within numbers and keep everybody, the bodies that oversee what's happening with the government financing. And that concerned me a lot in seeing, they just spent several months developing this budget, tax rates based on that budget, and then, all of a sudden they're pulling money out of the cash balances and dumping it in there instead of putting it in to the budget and planning for it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the thing that's concerning me the most. I know there's talk about that property in Camden. That got brought up, and there was a lot of things being said about that, and then it was dropped and brought back up again.
Mm-hmm.
I know there's several departments saying they need more storage space in that, but we've got to take care of what we've got. The jail, there's a lot of maintenance issues with the jail that has led to besides capacity, led to the idea of not being economically feasible to expand that facility and more practical to replace it. The jail project, based on things, they were originally they were hoping to be ready to break ground this year.
Oops.
And, they ended up renewing the farm ground, the lease on that ground, to let things be planted there, because they're another year out before getting close. And I don't think the numbers are going to come in to allow it without the referendum.
And do you think it would pass in referendum? That would be in your crystal ball.
In my crystal ball, I think a referendum would have problems passing.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of people realize that it's something you don't want to do, but you're going to have to do something. Right now, the last numbers I heard, we had somewhere close to 20 inmates housed in out-of-county
Mm-hmm.
jails.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and, so that's costing quite a bit of money to the county to pay for those.
230, 40, 50, something like that.
Yeah,
Which I think some council member pointed out that it would take a lot of years to make 15 million out of that.
right.
Yeah.
Um,
So yeah, it's a discussion to be had.
Yeah.
Certainly. Yeah.
And I feel when some of the first numbers I heard on the jail project,
Mm-hmm.
for the size they're looking at, they were talking $10 to $12 million.
Mm-hmm.
And the whole goal was, staying below that magic 15 million and requiring a referendum. But the jail project is more than just the cost of the physical building.
Absolutely.
Besides having to deal with the operation of it after it's open.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's really something, a lot of this.
Do you think that there's a good plan afoot to think about those types of expenses? I mean, like, how
Yeah.
much is it gonna cost to mow and to maintain and to turn the lights on and to pay the water bill? And
I have not seen any real numbers on what they actually expect it to be.
so if you got elected as a council person, what would you want to have happen then? I mean, I know that you're not really in the driver's seat, the council isn't, except the council is, because of the money.
Yeah,
And so how would you jump on that?
the main thing there, I really think, is the current project is not going to be able to come in. So I think the current project is going to end up dying.
Yeah.
Which is going to put us behind the 8 ball and moving ahead, especially considering the amount of money that's been spent on it already.
Mm-hmm.
But I think in the long run, it's the project as it looks right now, I think is going to die. I think everything has just been pushed back, and issues now haven't helped.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
Although a lot of construction projects are still moving ahead,
Mm-hmm.
I think we're going to see, it's going to be interesting to see the actual total effect of the revenue numbers.
Yeah.
From what's going on currently.
Okay, final question, because we're almost out of time.
Okay. Sorry.
No, that's all right. I'm just watching the clock, and I knew you would be a little more gabbity than some. Why are you a better choice to be elected to the council than others? Why should people vote for you rather than some other new people or even incumbents?
I like to think, and I firmly believe, that I'm coming into this trying to not have the emotional attachment that, yes, we need to do this, or no, we don't need to do it. That we need to get, I'm a numbers man, I want to crunch the numbers.
Mm-hmm.
I want to see that information.
Are you still talking about the jail?
Well, not just the jail.
Okay, what?
Even like things with, the maintenance on the buildings, having a plan for,
So you want to go by the numbers?
I want to go by the numbers. Yeah, the numbers, we're dealing with the purse strings of the county.
Yes.
And that purse is not like what a Harry Potter purse, for those who are fans. You know, you can't reach in and pull out whatever you want from a little carry bag. I mean, that purse has a finite amount in it that it can afford.
Uh-huh.
And we have to live within our means. And the emotional part of it has to be out of there some. Although I know, you know, employees all want raises, you know, all this stuff, but there's a limit to what can be done. And I think we have to, when we make a plan, we have to follow that plan and not get so crazy with things. And look to keep other people involved in some of this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I can come into it with being able to listen to both sides, being able to listen to everybody, and then, like I've said, crunch the numbers and try and make a reasonable decision that's going to be good for the county in the long run. We've got to try and do a little bit of a crystal ball, but we also have to stay within our means to do what we want to do.
Okay. I want to thank you very much for coming.
Thank you for having us.
And I'm gonna, whoa.
Okay.